Welcome to Flesh and Pod, a flesh and blood podcast, breaking down weekly news and notes from the tournament scene, community drama, game strategy, and more. And now, here are your hosts, Derek and Logan.
Hello, and welcome to episode 123.
I didn't know that you were going to start recording right when I took the swallow.
It was beautiful.
You were like, all right. And I do this and I see the recording go live.
I've always wanted to get you on camera swallowing. That's all. But welcome to episode 123 of Flesh and Pod. My name is Logan. I am your host. And with me, as always, is the new undisputed Universal Champion, Derek Oswald. Derek, did you do anything in Flesh and Blood?
So I did not get to play this week because after we recorded, I promptly caught COVID last week. And so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Should have played around it. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. I'm not even 100% sure where we would have gotten it. My wife had symptoms first, though, so I'm still wondering if it was something that, you know, maybe she brought home or whatever. It's always a crapshoot because she works at an elementary school, so a lot of opportunities there. I have two kids, a lot of opportunities there, but wherever it came from, both my wife and I had COVID. Thankfully, we were able to keep the kids from getting it, and our symptoms were staggered, so we weren't like both out at the same time. But I obviously don't want to spread it, and I want to be mindful, so I did not go to any events until I was like well clear of symptoms or whatever, which meant no Flesh and Blood for me this week. I did start toying around with lists, just that I haven't played any games even on Telshar. I just started toying with lists for what I expect to be like the upcoming pro season local meta, if you will, just so I have a baseline, and I started looking at dates and stuff, but I didn't do anything. Goal, hopefully, is to hit the armory tomorrow because I'm feeling better now, and drag some of those lists that I was brewing over the weekend there. But yeah, I did not go to any events, sadly. I did, however, watch WrestleMania, and I'm sure that we're going to talk about that. But the reason I mention it is because, as far as I'm concerned, Flesh and Blood is just a wrestling game at this point. I know that there's a lot of comparisons made to fighting games, and rightfully so when you look at like Flesh and Blood as a card game and how it plays out, but with all of the like baked in wrestling references both in the card titles and everything else, and still coming off of heavy hitters. I know that Miss Vale is obviously the new news, but coming off of heavy hitters and everything else, it just has that pro wrestling feel. So I feel like that's almost a Flesh and Blood event. Like watching WrestleMania should just be considered a Flesh and Blood event so that I can feel better about not having done anything this week.
I mean, honestly, I did get to play a little bit of Flesh and Blood, but I also got to watch WrestleMania, and I'd say that they were pretty equal in enjoyment, to be honest. I played in Vintox, valueless member of the Patreon. He organized a team sealed thing where they put an experienced person in the middle, and then two, at least one inexperienced person on the team next to them, so they can kind of help them learn through and stuff like that. And my buddy, this one's for you, Johnny Pastrami. My buddy Josh Maxson, who is has a podcast that is like, honest to God, it's been twice now that I had somebody walk up and say to me, okay, I know this is a long shot, but do you know Josh Maxson? And it's like, yes, he's a good friend of mine. Why? Man, because I listened to a show that he's on, and he was talking about going to spring training baseball, and then you were too, and I'm like, no fucking way. And it's like, no, we were there. We were there together. That is correct. We were also in Mexico together, so we were probably talking about that. So yeah, that's actually facts. Fuck, man, like small world, right? He's like, yeah, that's small world. But at any rate, he got interested in Flesh and Blood and was while we were driving back from O'Hare, getting plane back from Mexico, and he's like, sometime you have to show me. I'm like, hey, there's this thing on Saturday. You should come out and learn. So an hour beforehand, like we show up and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna grab some Iridex. I'm gonna teach him. He's like, okay. I'm like, so do you need the base version? You ready to jump into like classic instructor? He's like, nope. I think I can just play. And I'm like, perfect. Which one do you want? You know, he gave me some options of stuff to build. I built Katsu, which is funny. He finds funny because Katsu's name is actually just Cutlet, because that's what Katsu is. It's just Cutlet.
Chicken Katsu.
It's Cutlet. And he's like, and I'm like, I got Cutlet, or I got Victor, or I've got Warrior. And he's just like, yeah, give me Victor. And then we just ground games of that. And he was,
Victor's name is just Winner.
yeah, pretty much. And he was really enjoying himself with it. And I think it feels like he's really going to get into the game a bit, at least, which is really cool for us because another local player is always good, but it's one of my best friends, and having someone else around that you can share like the joy of playing and stuff, such an interesting and intricate game and he was really picking it up really quickly. And so I asked him, I'm like, man, you came in here and you kind of like, you stumbled, but you knew what was going on. Like there was some mechanic stuff you were doing. I'm like, but normally you kind of knew the rules and you kind of knew what was up. He's like, yeah. So I watched the Pro Tour. I'm like, okay. He's like, and I was watching Phuket earlier. I'm like, okay. And he's like, but really, I found this show that I don't know if you know about, but it's called Three Floating. And they really like taught me the game just by watching their videos, their fight night videos. And I'm like, yeah, I know them.
Do I know Three Floating?
Yes, quite well, actually. So shout outs to our guys at Three Floating. If they're listening, I want you guys to know, and maybe you should listen to this, but I want you guys to know that your content is awesome, and it's actually helping people learn the game to a point that they feel like they can just step beyond the beginner level and be good to go learning a little bit more advanced. So what you're doing and how you explain everything, keep it up. You're crushing it. But I also thought that was funny because I'm like, yep, I'm aware of that one. They're daddy's favorite now. And since mom died, we've been relegated to the forgotten kid status. So that's okay. Still love you, Keith. But yeah, so I that was very rewarding, just generally speaking. A good time. Dagan was doing his normal bullshit, which is there was 11 people, so not enough for 4 teams. So he was just playing two-handed in one seat and beating everybody's ass anyway. So it's like, okay, fine. But again, fun event, great time. Trevor, nice work putting that together. I do love that we do these things as a community building thing. But then I went home and watched WrestleMania. So I got home to watch Sami Zayn and Gunther, which was probably my second or third favorite match on the weekend.
Yeah, I was a little worried when it started, and then it got a lot better. But I should preface this with a couple of caveats, I guess. First, when that match started, it was right after we got done with Kickfest. So I thought we were going from Kickfest to Chopfest, right? But also, and I know that this is probably going to rub some folks the wrong way, but like, I am not a Gunther fan. He just doesn't do it for me.
You're allowed to have wrong opinions.
Yeah, you know. He's not like bad. He just doesn't draw me in. Like, there are objectively good and even entertaining wrestlers that you sometimes just don't jive with. To me, he is just like this generation's William Regal, where like I can see the talent.
William Regal.
That's just it. Like, I can see the talent, but like I don't care. Like, I didn't like William Regal. I fully understand why he's there. It's just not for me. Gunther is this generation's William Regal to me. So I was worried because I'm like, all right, well, it's already Gunther, and then we went from Kickfest and now it's Chopfest, and then yeah, it ended up being a really entertaining match. But I also feel like Sammy sells very well.
So the thing that got me about WrestleMania in general is as it's kind of a whole thing. And sorry, folks, this is a wrestling podcast for a little while, mainly because we've had people tweeting at us wanting to know our opinions about this.
Yeah.
For some fucking reason. So just strap in. You're not allowed to fast forward any of this show, though. So you have to strap in and actually listen to this.
Yeah.
But the long-term storytelling they pulled off was phenomenal. And so you look at Sammy won with, effectively with a move that he has never actually landed in WWE, but it's El Generico's finisher, which is a brain buster, a top rope brain buster onto the turnbuckle. So for obvious fucking reasons,
and on Gunther, no less.
Gunther,
like it's not like on a smaller dude. You know what I mean?
And there's obvious reasons where this move does not come out.
Yeah,
because
when it happened, I was like, oh, this is what happens like when you almost like pull it off. It could have been like a hair cleaner, but I'm not going to split hairs because to me, when I saw it, I had flashbacks to the time Brock Lesnar was supposed to hit the shooting star and instead almost killed himself.
Yeah.
Because like there's reason that big men don't do the shooting star.
Right.
And that's something Brock has hit in the past.
Oh, yeah.
But
he
picked the worst stage ever to
miss it. Yeah. And so it was, and if you, again, if you're a Sami Zayn person, the El Generico background, but then also like the fact that he has actually tried quote unquote. I mean, obviously it's scripted, but there has been spots where he teased that move over the last several years and it never happened. Like wriggled free or came under, or he, was shoved off or whatever. And when it happened, I was just like, oh, what the fuck? Like they let him do it? And I was like, Jesus, what the fuck's next? They're gonna let Owens do package pile drivers? Probably not. But I was like, fuck me. Okay. This is very different all of a sudden because this is obviously a different person in charge now. Thank God. Because of the sexual assault allegations against Vince McMahon. Basically washing him from the entire thing and but the product has just done nothing but get better for it. And this was a part of that. And then
mentioning the new person in charge thing or whatever, you also have to understand like it's a mindset thing because they still want to protect the talent, but I think Triple H is just more likely to trust the talent as well, to trust themselves. And I always think of that story that Mick Foley tells about when he was doing his like retirement match against Triple H. He tells the story that just before he walks out, Vince McMahon patted him on the shoulder and only said 2 words to him.
Don't
before
die.
He went out. No, he said no tacks.
Oh, right.
Because he didn't want him to do the thumbtacks. So the minute Vince walked away, Triple H looked at him and he went, you already put him under the ring, right? And he said, yep. And then Mick in the ring talked him into pedigreeing him face first into the tacks, right? So I think if anybody's like, hey, I'm just going to trust the other guy or whatever, and if they want to do it, that's great. It's Triple H.
No, yeah, true. Yeah. Like, and so there's so many good, like, just pieces to everything that happened storytelling wise. And even if you're not a wrestling fan, you should go and listen to or watch Paul Heyman's Hall of Fame speech. It is oratory at its finest because he went in with everything, just guns blazing, his entire story, and it is captivating. Because he was a manager for a long time. He started as a photographer, wanted to be, a booker, honestly. And then somebody that actually like does the storytelling backstage. And so he figured to do that, he needed to be on screen at some point in time because otherwise nobody would notice him. So he became a manager and he became one of the best fucking talkers in the history of wrestling. And when he got fired from the bigger promotion at the time, WCW, he created, he took East Coast Wrestling and changed it into Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW, which was, he took the violence from Japanese wrestling and then combined it with American don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And
in places like Philly as
in
well,
Philly,
right?
like
Yeah.
in Philly. And so it's like all of the stuff at a ballroom in Philly is where the show was held all the time. And it's where Stone Cold Steve Austin was created. It's where Mick Foley was able to like hone the hardcore portion of being Mick Foley. It's where like so many things came out of ECW, and then it hit hard times with like everything else going on. And then it was sold to WWE in bankruptcy in 2001. And so the best line of that speech was Heyman just says, like, stares straight into the camera, and he says, "And you think that the soul of ECW died in some bankruptcy court in 2001, you can suck my fucking dick." And I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that was his passion, man. And so he
that's
takes
who
it with
he
him.
is.
Yeah. Everywhere.
Yeah. And it was just like a very raw, very interesting piece of oratory. But overall, like, I was super entertained. I would consider myself at best a lapsed wrestling fan. And I was super entertained by everything. I thought, well, not everything.
Yeah, I mean, I had stepped away from watching wrestling for a long time. I grew up watching it, watched it with my dad. It was like a bonding thing. So I really appreciate it for that. And I surprised him one year for Christmas and got him WrestleMania tickets when it was here in Detroit, that sort of thing. And then as I got older, like you do, and I started working and whatever, I just stopped watching because it wasn't something that I was like prioritizing. And I've hit this weird stage now where both of my boys are old enough that like they want to watch it. So I started picking it up again. And that's what led into like just this year I watched the Royal Rumble with my boys, then, watched WrestleMania with them and whatever. And I feel like I'm coming back at the right time because everything was entertaining. Talent for the most part, like I said, looked good, and I was just very, I was starting to say it with Sammy. I was just very impressed by his sells, and then the women's division.
Has been great for a while.
Has been great for a while, but like Io Sky was also really impressing me the way she was selling things. She was like a female Shawn Michaels. I really appreciate a good sell because everybody can like make themselves look good. It's the people who make the other ones look good that I have more respect for. And Shawn Michaels had always been one of the best because like he'll get folded up like a long chair. Yeah, Sammy had a lot of that last night. Io had a lot of that. It was just
Rollins.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, some of that Rollins is a great seller as well, but he's also like legitimately hurt. So
he's beat to shit.
Yeah,
but
he's falling apart, man.
He is, but work night in, night out. That's just the mentality. Yeah. He's an Iowa boy. What do you expect?
Yeah.
But the last thing I want to talk about in regard to wrestling was the single best performance of anybody in WrestleMania is a 100% Samantha Urban. She is the ring announcer and is perfection.
Yep. And the voice cracks on the Cody Rhodes announcement were
she tells
chef's kiss.
She specifically tells backstage that she does not want to know any of the results ahead of time so that her reactions are always pure. And so that was just actual emotion, like not staged or anything. And she's just a fucking pro. And I absolutely adore her. So I guess that's we're done being a wrestling podcast for now.
No, we're not.
We're not.
I got one last. No,
okay.
I have one last thing I need to discuss with you because you said that the ending with Cody was the boring outcome, and
yes, it was.
I don't think so. I don't think so one bit because I think that it is really important for the future. So you had talked about how they want to wash away, like, Vince and his thing, right? And that they're also trying to like enter a new era. You keep hearing them say that a bunch in their,
video packages.
Their media. Yeah. And I've been thinking like a lot of people remember the rivalries of the Attitude Era, right? You remember Stone Cold and The Rock and so, Stone Cold and Kurt Angle and all that stuff. And the rivalries definitely carried stuff, DX and everybody, Evolution, etc. But one of the things that I think people kind of forget that was also rampant throughout that was the idea of like sticking it to the establishment and the man, right? All the stuff where it's like Vince was the bad guy, Vince is the heel. And so Stone Cold, it's not just that Stone Cold was Stone Cold, but he was giving it to the boss. And we're currently in an era where you got a lot of grumpy people who hate the rich and powerful, and they want to stick it to the man. And if you can give them a way to live that vicariously, and now with Vince gone, I think what they're gonna do, I think what they're honestly setting up with this Cody victory is The Rock is going to be Vince. That's why they keep mentioning him being on the board, right? He's going to be the new Vince. He's going to be the boss. He's going to be the heel, and he's already been leaning into it. But you're going to have almost like that revisit, so that in many ways, Cody gets to be like your Stone Cold 2.0 of sticking it to the man. Different, but
yeah, very.
Yeah, it's not quite the same. Because I mean, nobody will be the Rattlesnake ever again, but I think that is where they're going to go forward.
Okay. I mean, like, I understand, like, and I get that portion of it. And I think that, I mean, if Dwayne Johnson decides that this is what he wants to do, the dude has all the fucking money in the world. He doesn't give a shit. I mean, he's fine with this. If he wants to make movies, he'll make movies. It's just like John Cena said today that he has filming obligations through like December of this year. But after that, he wants to come back and do one more real run of wrestling.
I mean, no spoilers or anything, but he was on Raw.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know. I can't see him. But I'm not sure if he was on or not. I
saw the floating clothes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Somebody was the Invisible Man was wearing a bunch of Cena attire. Fair enough. I expect him to come back. I think that you're actually going to see quite a few people kind of come back for, even if it's just short runs, because I think a lot of them are feeling the same thing that people like me are, where it feels like it's the right time to come back. I just think there's general interest in it, right? Other people are excited about wrestling again, and that gets the people who'd been doing it for a long time like nostalgic. They're like, man, I miss it. I want to go do it again. And so I expect a bit of that.
Yeah. Well, we're done being a wrestling podcast. So now we're going to move into Flesh and Blood, where we had the Calling Phuket. Is that how you say it?
I listen. I am the whitest of whites. Okay, I might as well be Tide detergent. You do not want to ask me how to pronounce it properly. I've always said Phuket, but I don't know
Phuket.
that is correct. Okay, well,
Phuket.
Yeah, see, it
looks like fuck it, but it's Phuket. So, Calling Phuket was this weekend, and kids, children, friends. Stop it. Just don't fucking stop it.
Don't stop it. Well, see, we're going to have a disagreement already.
Okay. The only reason you're saying don't stop it, because it's in regards to an illusionist.
And?
All right. ALS is fine, just like everything else.
No. Ban ALS, ban Prism. You know what? Ban Enigma. That's where I'm at right now.
You are okay. No. Everything
I have
fine.
PTSD, and that is Prism Tyranny.
Stress disorder?
Stress disorder.
Okay. So I would like to point out that Prism didn't win either event. That's
even worse, because now she's not getting the points.
Prism was not.
You're going to be like, oh, see, she didn't win. And I'm like, no, let her win. If you guys want ALS gone, then just let her win. I mean, if anybody should be mad, like, be mad at Brody. That's the way I'm going to phrase this. Be mad at Brody.
But Brody beat Katsu in the finals.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Any rate,
at Brody. He was the winner.
Brody did win. I think it's his first calling win. Lots of top eights, but no wins.
Yeah, he's had top eights for callings, but I don't think
battle hard wins.
He's won battle hardens. Obviously won realm brawls.
Yeah, brawl singular.
Well, yeah, the big brawl, but I guess Rumble.
Rumble. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he won 1 Brawl and 1 Rumble. But there's only been 1 Rumble. So, but he did beat Pudding Tam on Katsu in the finals. And go back and watch Pudding's semifinal match. It's a fucking clinic. Like, that's Katsu mastery.
I mean, honestly, a lot of the games from this event were really good.
Yeah.
I don't know how Flesh and Blood gets better than the last 2 events in terms of
it's hard,
like, broadcast quality games. You know?
Yeah. It's so there's so many, like, yes, you're agree 100%. The I would say that the games themselves have been epic, and like Brody's 17 power dominated fucking arrow, Pudding with the full surging line, and then like, and then the fact that the casting team and the coverage team are so good at capturing the moments and letting them play and giving them oxygen, it's impressive. Like, it's been the levels that these have been spectacular. So hats off across the board to that as well. But the games have been unreal.
I think I would like to propose a new rule where you're not allowed to have an attack with a power value higher than your age, just as a Brody specific nerf.
Now, Brody's 18 now. He didn't get there.
But I just so 17's okay. I don't need him to get any ideas here. 17's bad enough. All right. I'm just saying, enough. Let's put a ceiling on this.
All right. But it's probably a good idea, actually. But yeah, so Brody beat Pudding on Katsu, and the rest of the top 8, we had a KO, a Dromai, an Uzuri, 2 Prisms, and a Dorinthia. So
yeah, it's interesting because this top 8 was more in line with kind of what I expected the Pro Tour to be. It's interesting to me because I don't know if that means that the Pro Tour top 8 ended up the way it did because of the draft portion or not. But I was happy to see that the diversity came back as far as like hero selection.
Yep. There was also a CC Battle Hardened, which was also won by Azalea.
Yeah.
So
did you see Codex prices?
Oh my God. Last I looked, it was $95.
Yep.
I own mine.
I have extras, and if I wasn't lazy, I should totally
sell them. Absolutely.
But
I have a lazy, Marvel,
so they're gonna sit.
What's the Marvel at?
I don't know. I try not to look at those. I have one of each of the Marvels as like part of my Assassin collection, but someday I would like to get play sets of them, but I keep not looking at prices because I know
it's only $380, but the problem is that there's one that's $380. There's only 3 on TCG Play right now. One that's $380, one that's $400, and one that's $1,000.
Which is just a backstop pricing.
Right. Yep. But if it does ever get to that point, that's a plane ticket to Osaka.
I mean, yeah. I have my playset. I have like a regular foil one, and I think I might have one extra, and then I have my one Marvel because, like I said, I wanted one of each for my Assassin collection. And someday I would like to get a full playset of them, but like I said, I don't look at prices because I get tempted.
Right. Yeah. No.
If I just don't look, then I don't have to worry about it.
Well, that's like part of when I'm thinking about Osaka and and going and also thinking about Amsterdam and a lot of other things. It's just like, God, that is like a lot of funds. And then I look over and I'm like, I could pay for that really easy. Like really easy. I was have to liquidate. Nope, not doing it. 100% not doing it. But it's tempting, especially when things are that fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Is what it is. So the rest of the Battle Hardened top 8 was 2 KOs, a Victor, a Bolton, a Dromai, a Kano, and Leviah. So takeaways here, Prism didn't win shit. Azalea is obviously overpowered and needs nerfs. We need to ban something because that's what everybody fucking says, I guess. Something wins, it immediately needs something banned out of it. And it's so fucking annoying. And Dromai lives. We get 1 week of ProQuest season at least with Dromai legal. Everybody that was in Phuket, you're all to blame for this. You had one job, and that was everybody registered Dromai. And you failed. This is on you now. Just want to make sure that's out there. And if that fucking hero lives at $9.99 through ProQuest season, I will be so upset. Because goddamn it, she just needs to go away.
Listen, if she's at like $9.99 or $9.98 or whatever, I'm gonna call a conspiracy because that'll be like the third or fourth time that's happened to a hero.
She would be on the doorstep, honest to God, one win at a ProQuest would be $9.99.
Yeah, she'll be there until Nats, and it'll be like Briar all over again.
Well, it was $9.98. Yeah,
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
And then we'll hear about misreported heroes, and that Dromai actually did get over, which was the original Prism thing. And yeah, whatever. But I would say this event tells us exactly what we need to know, which is everything's fine. Stop it. Just stop it. Okay? Derek, I'm looking at you. Okay.
No.
God damn it. Fine. You want to talk about Mistveil, though?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, let's talk about some Mistveil. We did get a lot more info from the mothership and from Phuket and some other things, but we now know what she is and how to get it. So that's what Transcend does, is Transcend effectively as a mechanic that if you transcend, the card flips over and becomes mystic chi, or inner chi, sorry, which pitches as a mystic resource for we've only seen blue.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if there are
other
values.
Yeah, I'm wondering too. So basically it's a blue cracked bauble, but it's a blue cracked bauble that activates hero abilities, and I'm going to guess weapons.
Maybe. Or it could be one of those things where you've got weapons, but then they get a bonus if it's paid for with chi, right? So
you can even have equipment that uses it too.
Right. Like it could be equipment as well, but I was already imagining, the same thing they do with Guardians, where you pitch a blue and it's like 3 for 3. And then if you meet a condition, then you get the +1. I could very easily see there being some weapon where it's, you pay 3 for 3, but if you pitched a Mystic, it's 4 instead, or
so a couple of things like jumped out to me. The first one being, this shit better be worth it. Like the payoffs kind of have to be big because you're legit putting cracked baubles in your deck.
Well, it's even more than that, but I'll all right, fine. We're already off the rails. I'm going to do my quick deep dive here.
Let's go.
What we've seen so far is very interesting to me because it's not even just that like you're putting the cracked baubles in your deck, but most of the cards that transcend right now are also not capable of blocking. It's been a lot of legendary instants. So you're going to have a bunch of stuff that you effectively can't defend with, and it turns on your good offensive stuff, but the other big theme we've seen so far from the set is, did you play a blue card? And we know that traditionally those blue cards are underpowered. So if you're going to have underpowered stuff and stuff you can't defend with, your payoffs better be massive. And there's also the problem of, with the exception of the one legendary we've seen that says shuffle. And now I understand the last time we were talking about the heroes, I had said that the ninja wand felt a little off to me. Like I wasn't seeing the power, but now I totally see the power because his lets you shuffle, right? The shuffle is the big deal because if you're trying to use that chi for whatever your cool payoffs are or powered up things are, you're going to need a way to draw it sooner than going to second cycle. Because that's usually what's like, you get the immediate, when you transcend, it flips and it goes back to your hand. That's an important piece. But to increase your chances of doing it again over and over, the shuffle is a really important part so that you're not waiting on second cycle pitch stack. So yeah, there's got to be some pretty big payoffs coming. I fully expect there to be. But even with all of that, as somebody who is, on wax as being a huge limited fan, that's where I'm most excited for this mechanic, because we're potentially going to go into a limited format where blocking is going to not necessarily be as deterministic, right? We saw that a little bit, and I truly think that's part of the reason that heavy hitters was so fun. We saw that quite a bit in heavy hitters, where instead of it just being like, okay, how many 3 blocks does my opponent have? There were turns where it's like, all right, well, if they don't have any 3 blocks, or if they only have 1 3 block, I can do X, Y, or Z, because it was not just 3 blocks on the class cards all the way through. And it's going to be like that to an even further degree with this set, because we're going to have likely 3 blocks, 2 blocks, reactions, but then also all these instants and whatever that can't defend at all. So limited is looking really spicy to me right now.
Yeah, and most of these are like almost everything that's not the legendaries requires you to have played another blue card to transcend, and the legendaries are modal. So if you play them just to transcend, that's probably not what you really want to be in for.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're looking at a lot of them that cost 3 as well.
Right.
Because that means if you haven't like played a blue card or whatever, then you just spent 2 cards, right? 3 whole pitch plus this just to transcend. Right. Now, granted, again, you get the 1 back, so it's really just like you pay 3 to flip it once or whatever. But
sure. But and most of these like that we've seen so far, like the effects themselves are they're something you wouldn't play. So like one of them is legit just the same as blue Sigil of Solace. It's gain a life, right? That's homage to ancestors. Passover is banish target card from opposing hero's graveyard. That one does matter. And it lets you transcend. Preserve Tradition is probably my favorite one, which is put target action card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. Because for Ninja, that's important with the combo cards and such. So you can keep kind of looping your combos back over and over and over again. But these are all legendary. So you only get 1 in your deck. In a constructed deck. It does, you can have more than 1 in your limited decks. But, and then Stir the Pots is the one that just shuffles. That's right. All it is, just shuffle. So the actual effects themselves, they're all 0 cost instants. Like the effects themselves are pretty okay. I get like they're toned down because they're blues.
Yeah, though I mean those ones are toned down. The real spice is the class specific ones, the ones that cost that 3 pitch.
Yes, the legend,
right?
Yeah, the ones that are your sacred art card, your sacred arts.
Yeah.
So
the sacred arts are spicy with their effects, but also all 3 of them just have outstanding art.
They're insane.
Like the Marvel versions of these are instant classics. Art wise.
No, like everything in the set is an instant classic as far as art goes. Like I have not seen a piece of art in this set. Well, I mean, it's been a long time, it feels like, since I've seen a piece of art in Flesh and Blood that was disappointing in any way, shape, or form. These are just, again, examples of incredible fucking art. Stir the Pot is absolutely batshit crazy and fantastic, and with the Marvel version at least.
I just really dig like either the perspectives of some of these or the storytelling. So 2 of my favorites that are not the Marvels right now, I really like Droplet because of the perspective of like being from the foot, staring down the opponent, really gives you that like Kung Fu movie action sequence vibe. But then storytelling wise, like the one that I really love, because I love me some play on words, that, Spillover. So spillover, having the like one crimson streak
The
going
blood.
down the waterfall that is the blood of the person who
Is it the top of the waterfall?
but just lost the duel, right?
Mhm.
That is just so good to me. Like I love everything that I've
really
seen
hope
from
that
this set so
that
far.
is the red that is foil on this card. But like when they do the foil, I really hope that it's just that streak of blood is what's foil. But yeah, no, again, like they've been crushing it in the art department for years at this point. So why stop now? There was like the one other card that I saw that I was just like, holy shit, this is quite good. Was Orion of Mystic Tenants, because it's a mystic instant, so all the heroes can play it. All the mystic heroes can play it. Again, a legendary. This one does not have transcend. It's 4 cost, so jeepers. But it's 4 cost mystic instant, draw 2 cards. But if a chi was pitched to play this instead, draw 3. So this is effectively a ramp spell.
It's effectively a ramp spell that also allows you to get like, so some of those things that were pretty low impact but then do the transcend, if you can do those as a setup, because those are all instants as well, and then play this, it gets those into your deck and gets those abilities going while also just refilling your hand.
Yep.
Right? Like it granted it's a combo. You have to set it up. You have to have 1 or 2 of those instants and then this, and with them all being legendaries, that's potentially difficult, but the payoff is massive.
Yeah, this is as somebody who's looking at this set through the lens of the ninja, because that's like the class that's in here that I've got the most experience with. I'm just like, oh, so I just get to restock my hand and probably have floating resources afterwards. Okay, going up going back to card neutral with floating resources off of this, and also a blue pitched or blue card played to trigger all of my other cards that want blue card played. That's really good. I'm very much so into that. But
I'm just like waiting for somebody to I don't know, have a hand that looks like it's going to be bad and then just draw into straight gas. Like you could have like literally big blue sky, 2 of the legendary instants, and then, the book, right? The Mystic Tenets. And it's like, all right, well, I'm going to defend with my defense reaction, the big blue sky. And then while that's there, because now I've played a blue card, I'll transcend my 2 things, get the chi, use the chi to pay for the book, and then now I've blocked for I got a 4 block out of it and still replaced my entire hand.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same story with Wild Blue Yonder, where you do it as an attack reaction and then refill your hand.
Yeah,
and also like if you get those off as the transcend, that makes the chakras so much better. Like those things are incredible, and those you can play multiples of. So that shit gets real wild, real fast. So that part is fascinating as well. Also, I feel like every one of these is like, I really wish or hope there's a way that, I guess I don't know if I hope this. I wonder if there's a way to flip these back from being Mystic Chi to going back to their front side. I'm not sure, but because I wonder, as an example, if these change zones as a Mystic Chi, let's say you get hit by a pummel and you discard a Mystic Chi, does it revert back to being its original self? Or anything like that?
Yeah, that's that's a fair question, right?
Yeah.
Dragons untransform when they go to the discard pile.
Now these are all instants, and there's no way to shuffle instants back that I can think of. But
going a step further though as well, the flipped version, right, when it's chi, it's listed as a resource, which I believe the gems are as well. And so, like, I think they just get treated as that, unless you specifically had something that would say untranscend. I think it's just going to stay as a resource. So, like, if somebody hits you with a pummel and you've got the chi in your hand and you decide to discard it, I think it's probably just going to stay as the chi that way.
Okay. Like, I just don't know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't know either. I'm just trying to, like, based on what's been revealed and how other interactions work, I think, because it's also because it's specifically, it is transcend, which is a different keyword from the dragons and whatever, right? So
right. So I am interested in how that all works. Like, I will wait for the release notes, or maybe Josh Scott wants to come on and tell us. He's more than welcome to. He is invited, cordially, respectfully invited. We'll even, like, I can't commit to better behavior, because, I mean, we're going to do what we do. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. It's just,
I mean, I can always commit to better behavior.
Can you?
I can, yeah.
But then just
turn it on and off. I know how to be professional, Logan.
I don't. What?
I do it every day.
Do you know?
I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Allegedly. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about in the mist veil space for the moment, or are you good?
I mean, I'm not good. The only other thing that I want to say is, please, somebody give me a really spicy assassin reveal. I am so excited for this set because I get more assassin stuff. And I love reveal season because my favorite thing in the world is, like, seeing things with incomplete information and just thinking about all the possibilities. And so I adore the fact that the assassin instant that they revealed mentions things we haven't seen yet, right? Specifically, the create a fang strike and a slither in your hand. And I'm like, well, what are those?
Don't know what those are.
They sound great.
They sure do. They sound very interesting.
They sound like a sneaky snack.
They do sound
like a danger noodle.
Danger noodle, because, like, but yeah, if they get you one of those, like, if you end up with yours, like, this is the down but not out that LSS sent us for our reveal. This is a foiled down but not out. But notice the tick marks on it.
Is that the number of times you've killed somebody with it?
That's the number of times I've been killed by it.
Oh.
There are 12 of them.
Fair.
I have been murdered by that fucking card in Constructed and in Limited 12
You know
times.
what? I'll take that. You know why? Because if they give me a spicy assassin card and I start losing to it, that means my favorite class is good enough that other people have picked it up.
That's fair.
I'm willing to die on that cross.
Okay, I think that's fine. It would just be another white dude dying on a cross.
The first one wasn't white, though.
I mean, I'm pretty sure all of, like, the Roman soldiers that were
but I said
crucified for treason. I don't think he was the first person to be crucified. If you're talking about a Jewish carpenter, that was
no, of course not.
Okay. It was the first one.
I don't know. I was just a betting man. There was a lot less white people back when that probably would have started. Historically speaking, we descended from
Africa.
Melanin. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay.
I'm just playing the odds.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I'm not mad at you for playing the odds. Like, so, gotta get this one out there. Jordan Kennedy called me.
Oh, Lord.
And he called and said, I got a bet for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm listening. He's like, my buddy, I forgot his name. He's like, my buddy is 1 in 7 lifetime in Star Wars Shatterpoint. I want to take him for $100 at 4-1 odds. And I said, no bet. And Jordan's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I'm trying to give you a free $100. I'm like, no, he's due.
Yep.
And Jordan goes, God damn it. That's why I wanted to take the bet. I'm like, See, motherfucker, you're not going to get me on that one. And I can almost guarantee
you,
probably won.
Mikey Torek.
He was due, goddammit.
We're due.
We're due.
AKA we're due.
AKA we're due. And then I'm like, Jordan, and Jordan's like, man, I got to find somebody to take this bet. I'm like, you should probably text Mikey Torek. And Jordan's like, yeah, okay, I'll get a hold of Mikey. So that was something that happened this weekend as well. I was like, I think that was the first time I no-sirred a bet from Jordan, because I was like, no, absolutely not.
It's a good time to do it, all things considered.
All things considered. I'm going to guess that guy's 2-7 in Star Wars Shatterpoint now, because he was due. Anything else? You ready to move on? We're actually blitzing through. I guess there wasn't a whole lot of info to talk about, really. Although I probably should check the mothership and not look like a fucking idiot. I usually.
You didn't see the thing they just posted?
All right. Okay. I don't know if you're fucking with me or not. Looks like you're fucking with me. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So, moving on, we're going to keep talking about this until we stop, which is the first 5K Realm Brawl of 2024 will be Saturday, July 20th in Princeton, New Jersey. You have 1 week to sign up for the $60 early bird entry. Otherwise, you then have to spend $10 more to play in this event for the $70 regular entry. The link to this event will be in the show notes. It is a 5K CC event. The top 8 get invites to the year-end 50K, $50,000. 50. And first place will get one of the coveted VIP invites to the Realm Brawl, which are transferable, carry-overable, all the thingsable. I don't know if that's a word. So, and also a lot of money. There's that part too. There's also just the cash involved with all of this. So, get in there, get registered, and get ready to brawl. And then if you do get the top 8, get ready to rumble. I tried to do that as sexy as I could. It didn't work. Can you do that?
Rumble!
Good enough. Good enough.
All right. So do you ever write yourself notes and then you come across them and you're like, what was I on?
Actually, yes.
All right. Just making sure it's not just me. Because I was just checking some notes about upcoming events and things. And so I've got I use Notepad++ for everything because I'm a coder or whatever, but I've got several tabs open and I come to one that was filled with a bunch of content ideas that I had. And for whatever reason on this, but solo all by itself in its own area, I wrote the words sealing wax occurrence. No, when I say sealing, I don't mean like sealing. I mean it's sealed. It's a wax that seals. But
wax occurrence?
Yep, that's what I wrote. So, don't know what that was for.
Huh.
Yeah. That's why I was looking so puzzled, because I was like, what? You know what? Just going to delete it. I don't think I even want to know at this point. Sometimes you just move on.
Yeah. So I use sticky notes for those things. And so sometimes I pull up sticky notes and go, what the fuck does that mean? And they go, it must not be that important. And then close sticky notes.
Yeah.
So that'll happen. Yeah. Weekly, probably. Are you ready to tackle some listener questions?
Yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. Okay, great.
Of course.
The first one
is anything.
Okay. What are your plans for Minneapolis?
Well, currently my plans are to locate some flight information and see if I've got enough vacation days where I can attend that as well as the other events that I have in the immediate future. But I didn't get to look at those dates the way I had planned this weekend because my wife took us on an adventure that ate up all of my Saturday. I even told her specifically. Adventure? No, this was Saturday. This was our first day where we were feeling better because Friday night, I said to her, I have so much I have to get caught back up on after, being down, right? That was on my list of things that I wanted to get caught back up on. And I was like, I'm just going to set my alarm. I'll get up early tomorrow and I'll get a bunch of stuff done. So then I slept through my alarm because I was still very tired from the being sick or whatever. And then I woke up to her going, hey, get around. We're going on an adventure. And so that was my day. And we got home at like, I don't know, 8 at night or whatever. So, yeah, it was just outdoors stuff. But the point was, like, we're supposed to do that Saturday. And then I lost my Saturday. Those are my current plans.
I'm just going to book a hotel room with the thought that you're going to be in it.
I'm doing my best.
Okay.
I would like to be there.
Okay. And then ProQuest wise, I'll be in Kansas City this weekend. I think everybody already knew that. At Mind Games and Magic in Lee Summit, Missouri. It's in Missouri.
Yeah, I am upset because I know that it starts this weekend and no place within 100 miles of me has one going this weekend. My earliest one is April 20th. And for that one, if I want to attend April 20th, I actually have to drive to Canada for that one. All of the other ones in Michigan are the 27th or later.
But whatever you do, you know what not to do. But
say that I'm there for work?
Correct.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
But I mean, it shouldn't matter in the first place because it doesn't actually matter. But that's still fucking stupid to me. Like, customs is dumb. And I think I have this weekend I can play in Lee Summit, Missouri on Saturday. I could play in Lincoln, Nebraska on Sunday, but I have work stuff that's going to make that pretty much impossible. I think. But the weekend after that, I have Saturday, Sunday locally.
All right. So the closest one I have is on Saturday, the 13th of April. I can drive all the way to Min-Max Games
in Chicago.
Yeah, 186 miles one way is the closest one I have for April 13th. Don't get me wrong, I'd love an excuse to go see the Min-Max folks.
Like 2.5 hours?
Well, for me, it's more like 3.5 because of my carcolepsy. But yeah, just frustrating that
Did you just fucking portmanteau car and narcolepsy?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. The fuck, Derek?
You're welcome. What can I say except you're welcome? Speaking of The Rock going full circle.
Speaking of The Rock.
Time is a flat circle. But
I thought it was a squared circle.
Oh, the ring is a squared circle.
There we go.
Time is a flat circle. My whole point here is that I'm just frustrated that is literally the closest one for this weekend. 186 miles.
Which I think is roughly the same distance as the one that I'm going to. Hold please. I will confirm that. Because I live in Iowa, which is the middle of fuck. And
but I don't.
That's fair.
So that's my frustration is there are several major cities near me.
Right. ProQuest Season 5, search. Well, it's set at 50 kilometers right now. So now it's 50 miles. We're going to put it at 250 miles.
Yeah, I had to put mine at 250. And so for the next 2
weeks. The one I'm going to is 189.02 miles away. One way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to that.
Well, sure. But you don't have carcolepsy.
You are correct. I do not have carcolepsy.
And you also don't live next to several major cities the way that I do. And I still have to go that far. And then the next week, I have to leave the country to go to one.
You get to leave the country.
But that one is only 80 miles away, at least.
Well, that's fair. Why am I getting...
So anyway, a lot of my gaming ProQuest season-wise will likely be the second half of the season, but I don't know. Maybe I'll see what we have going on this weekend. Maybe I'll make a last minute just drive to Chicago for the Min-Max thing, assuming they haven't sold out already. They may have even already sold out. They usually
I doubt
pretty big
it.
events, but
I mean, Peter will get you in. Don't worry about it.
Peter doesn't even like me.
Is that true?
Pretty sure it's true.
I don't think that's true.
I did that one event for them, and then he never spoke to me again. That's also not true. But
I don't think that's true either. Okay.
You know.
Either way. So time for listener questions.
Let's do those.
Let's do this.
You should stop derailing us.
The first one is from Dom. He says, questions. What he's referring to the asterisk in the product information for Japanese heavy hitters. Because it says Japanese language product has one additional legendary and Marvel. So the question is, what do you want it to be? And would you put money on it? What would you put money on it actually being? Those are not necessarily the same thing.
One additional legendary and Marvel. Huh?
Yes. So my thought is it is a Japanese tunic is the legendary. And the Japanese Marvel is a little bit harder. I kind of feel like Enlightened Strike fits, but I'm not sure. The other one I was thinking is just a legit Marvel Ira would be the other one.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about a Marvel, in my head, I figured it had to be a hero. So Ira makes the most sense. And the reason I was thinking it had to be a hero is just because that was what all of the other ones were for that set. So it would be very weird to just stick in some other Marvel that doesn't kind of fit the theme.
You mean for Misfail?
Sorry, when you started this, you said for heavy hitters.
No, this is Misfail.
Okay, well, you said heavy hitters. So I was...
Oops. Well,
I was like, okay, well, they're... I just assumed when you said that they were going to do like what they did with the Black Label history packs. I thought they were going to re-release heavy hitters in Japanese and do something.
No, I fucked up. This is just Misveil.
Yeah. So if it's Misveil, it still very well could be Ira and Enlightened Strike. I think those would make sense.
I think it's Tunic and Enlightened Strike or Ira. Those are my guesses. I think Tunic is a lock.
Oh, that's right, because you said one extra
one legendary, one Marvel. I think Japanese Tunic, I think is a lock. That's just it makes sense to me. Because like there's nothing more iconic as far as a legendary would go than Final Spring Tunic. And at the time of like...
Maybe it could also be Crown.
Sure, could be Crown.
Because I'm trying to think, like, we've already had like a lot of Tunic reprints and we've had a bunch of whatever. And granted, like, this doesn't necessarily mean that we still won't get it in History Pack or whatever, but Crown of Providence is potentially due for one.
Like the thing about printing like Tunic here would be that it still isn't going to change the price at all of like your English printed tunics because it's only in the Japanese language product.
No, I mean tunic would make sense. I don't know. I feel like if you're going to be inserting it for this set, then I was trying to think of stuff that would have come from Outsiders, Dynasty, Uprising.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was settling on Crown, because it also makes sense that you would fold them into a themed set like this.
I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I said, it could very well still just be Tunic, but Crown of Providence would make sense.
Yeah. Like I said, I would probably put money on Tunic, but the Marvel's a lot harder for me because there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Because it can be Basically anything
You
that
know,
hasn't been a Marvel.
I'm gonna go with Art of War.
So I thought of that, but I don't know because like there's the Sun Tzu reference in there or Sun Tzu reference, but that's Chinese, not Japanese. And so I was like, maybe not, but Enlightened Strike does fit still. And Art of War was cold foiled in Judge Pack, and Enlightened Strike has never had that treatment.
I mean,
So,
hasn't had it so far. They can still
right,
do that
sure,
as well.
they're going to at some point.
So like the only reason I was thinking Art of War, it's like, yeah, obviously that's got more, potentially Chinese influence, but I think one of the things that we have to remember is that Part the Mistveil is not just like a Japanese set, though that's going to very much be the emphasis, because obviously it's got a lot of those themes carried over. But we already see that with some of the characters, right? So the kanji that are used in the 3 cards that were revealed for what was it, like wind, water, whatever. I know that there was a lot of discourse back and forth because one of the kanji is like technically not the formal one in Japanese. It's like a simplified Chinese version. And because kanji is mostly based on Chinese originally, it makes sense for them to have done that. But then somebody in this big discourse thing that I was reading through, somebody just rightfully pointed out that like, technically Mistveil's a fantasy setting, right? Like it can have influence from both, but it doesn't mean that it has to be beholden to it. And so
sure,
given that we got the Command and Conquer Marvel in Dynasty, right? And it had that more kind of like emperor feel, I could see Art of War sneaking in here.
Okay. I mean, I don't disagree with you. It's just I feel like it's a good spot for if you're going to do a Majestic, do something that's never been in cold foil, which would be Enlightened Strike. That would still be super desirable. That's just my thought. It could literally be anything. It could be Gorganian Tome. It could be, Tome of Fyendal. There's a lot of different things that you can make fit that would work. But I think I wouldn't put money on the Marvel, but I think I'd put money on the Tunic. Good enough? All right. Moving on. Chuck asks, thoughts on the collection box? Is this good value for both existing and new players? Is this the only way to get the pre-con blitz decks now? Can we start a psyop that LSS only put packs that have absolute gas in the boxes? So for those that don't know, the ready to play out of the box Part the Mistveil collection, it gives you the 3 blitz decks, so Enigma, New, and Zen, 3 Mistveil boosters, and a Mysteria playmat, and then a storage box. Okay, the MSRP is $70 US. So for $70, you're getting 3 blitz decks, a Mysteria playmat, 3 boosters, and a box. Derek, worth?
I mean, like all things, I think that it kind of depends on what you want out of it. I think that it's worth if you are looking for something similar to like a around the table, but you want it to maybe be not quite as like, not so casual, but you still want a complete product that you can play with your friends. I think this is that good middle ground because you're going to get a collection of decks that you can just like play with your friends. They're all already on like similar power levels. You can keep them all, self-contained. But if like Round the Table didn't appeal to you because, you didn't like the aesthetic or whatever, then this I think could be a good option for that. If you're a new player and you're like, hey, I just want to get into the game, but I don't know what classes I'm going to like or where to start, I think that it's got a lot of value because you're going to get multiple decks and you can try them all out, see how their different play styles are so that you can make informed decisions from there. You also get some packs to help making some early changes and see, how that impacts things. So in those two cases, I like it. I think if you're a heavily invested player, it's probably not worth it. If you're somebody who's regularly competing on the Pro Tour, you're probably going to get more value just buying singles, or buying a couple of boxes for bulk and then getting singles, because you just care about filling out your collection. I will, however, contribute to the PSYOP about the packs will likely be gas, because anytime I've ever purchased products from other card games like this that come with packs, those packs are always juiced.
Yeah.
The Alpha Clash ones, when that game came out, all of the displays that were like the individual packs that came with stuff, those were way more juiced. Even with Star Wars Unlimited, when I have gotten the pre-release kits as opposed to whatever, like those, I feel like anyway, maybe it's just bias or whatever, but I had way better pulls in those.
Magic pre-release kits were always juiced to the fucking gills, it felt like. And then Fat Pack used to make
Fat Packs used to be so good.
It was just value.
Just value. I bought Fat Packs every time. I used to have just a stack of roll down D20s. Actually, I still have a bunch of them. I have all of my roll downs from like OG Kamigawa block and Mirrodin and all that.
I still have the boxes, the Fat Pack boxes. I still have all of those.
Oh yeah.
They're great boxes.
Those used to be such good value. So I will contribute to that PSYOP 100%.
Yeah, 100%, not even a PSYOP. I think that's just real. It's not. It can only
what's
be
the best way to listen? We all joke about it, but let's be real here. We're all gambling addicts. That's part of the reason we play trading card games, right?
Yeah.
What's the best way to get someone hooked on your product? You give them some of that good right out of the gate.
Get them the win.
Itching for the next.
Yeah.
So if you got this intro product and one of them opens something cool and shiny, then they're more likely to be invested because now they want to build around this really cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying it's done on purpose, but
kind of feels like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do with that info what you want.
I mean, you should. It's actionable. You should just buy part the Mistveil collection.
I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money,
but you should do it. All right. Moving on. Our last question from the aforementioned Johnny Pastrami. As the leading voices on all things P.O.D, motherfucker, could you guys please do a definitive ranking of all the band's main studio releases? The people crave this content. Okay. So, couple of things. I don't know anything about the band P.O.D outside of that it's P.O.D. And I think they had a hit song. But here's what we're going to do.
They had a couple of hit songs.
Did they?
Yeah. Because both like their early aughts stuff was like wildly popular. So like stuff from Satellite and just their self-titled like Payable on Death thing were pretty, like, at least where I live, they were on the radio very frequently.
Okay. So here's the rundown. There are more albums than I thought. But here's the discography. We have Snuff the Punk, which was released in 1994. We have Brown.
Yep, that's already the worst right out of the gate.
We have Brown, which was released in 96.
The best.
Okay.
That's my tier one, because Brown is a fantastic name, whereas Snuff the Punk is an awful name.
We have the Fundamental Elements of Southtown. No opinion. It is certified platinum, though. And on the U.S. Christian charts, it was number 1. Satellite was 2001. Released on September 11th, 2001, mind you.
Yeah, that's why this is number 2 behind Brown.
Okay. This one was their largest commercial success.
Yeah. It was a world-changing event.
As it is it was 6th on the US charts at its peak. It is a 3 times platinum album through the Recording Industry of America. Then there's self-titled Payable on Death from 2003. Where's that go in the hierarchy? Is it not rank?
It's probably mid somewhere.
And then in 2006, we have Testify. Both of those, as well as When Angels and Serpents Dance, which is the next one from 2008. All of those hit number 9 on the U.S. charts.
So When Angels and Serpents Dance, that's got to be lower in the tier just because it's a pretentious title. Testify, however, I'm going to put at number 3, right? So we got Brown, which is accurately named for whatever that's going to be on that album.
It's shit, yeah.
Yep. And then we have Satellite, which caused the towers to fall, right? That's number 2.
2011, yeah. What's the number 11th?
And then Testify is 3rd because I am a Dudley Boys fan.
Yeah, it's Devon and Bubba Ray. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. The next one, on this, we're now into non-major label releases again. So, fundamental elements of Southtown, Satellite, Payable on Death, and Testify were all released on Atlantic. And then When Angels and Serpents Dance was released on Columbia, but now Murdered Love was released on Razor and Tie Records.
Yeah. And it's probably titled Murdered Love because they feel like the record industry murdered their love of music. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's possible. That is from 2012, by the way. The next is The Awakening.
This is them realizing that, they actually have freedom now that they're away. And so they're like, oh, yeah, we can just do whatever we want.
From
clearly, the record labels were holding us back.
Yeah, and this is where things have gone downhill quite suddenly because you went from a number 9 to a number 17 to a number 75 peak.
Yeah. The people, the critics, the critical reception was not awakened.
Was not awakened, no. Alpha Clash has repurposed that now, though, so it's fine. The next one on the label Mascot from 2018 was Circles. Circles did not ever chart on the Billboard top 200.
Because they're trying to find that fire again, but they keep going in circles. So clearly this was a dud.
Yes,
but coming out soon, May 3rd,
Veritas.
We have Veritas, which I'm sure is going to be a banger because this Christian group finally realized that they can jump on the political train. This is going to be like their Project Veritas, the album. So it's going to be absolute garbage, but it's going to be so bad it's comedic, and I can't wait.
Their highest song peak was Youth of the Nation. I think there's a song I know. That was number 28 on the US charts.
It's so funny to me that a Christian band's greatest hit was the one about school shootings.
Right.
That's what.
And that is their only gold certified single.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess this is all to say that P.O.D. is shit. And
then why do we cast about them all the time? Why do we do a P.O.D. cast?
We don't. It's a podcast. The pod is for podcast.
P.O.D.
Not It was a good run. Do
you think P.O.D. fans call themselves the pod people?
I think they do, actually.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
And this episode had it all. We had wrestling.
We had P.O.D. Yeah. What more do you want?
We went so full circle several times too, because I made a martyr joke, and now we're back to the Christian music.
You did make a martyr joke. That much is true.
We made a time as a flat circle into the ring as the squared circle into the album was called Circles.
Yeah, and we talked about crucifixion.
Yeah.
And we've done it all. This might be our magnum opus.
I don't know how we top this.
I do not know how we top this. Maybe this is it. Maybe we need to call it, but we'll find out when we're back here next week for episode 124. But first we're going to thank some patrons because without you, I don't know, without you, thank you, I guess that's where I'm going with
this. Without you, we do this or nothing.
Correct. This is also true. Well, the show would not be solvent and paid for our occasion.
I wasn't even going to go that far. I was just going to say, like, without you, then it would be even worse than it is.
That's also true. It's pretty bad already. But we're going to thank our associate producers, Andy, Sindra, Donnie K, Jacob, Kenny, Larry, and the Salty Sea Cat. Our executive producers on up are Alex, Ballet Storm, valued member of the Patreon, by the way. Dom, Lance Good Thrust, Matt Two Tokes, Pucks on us, valueless member of the Patreon, Trevor, Papa Mike, Philip, Rich, and Taylor. If you are interested in having your name screamed into a microphone, one, subscribe to our Patreon in the $5 or up tier, and two, have a baller fucking name. Then I'll do it. Just saying. But yeah, you can, if you're interested in joining the Patreon, go to patreon.com/fleshandpod. Link is in the show notes. There are 6 tiers. Pick one. Don't give a shit. Paid tiers get you in a FAP After Dark, which is our monthly shit talking live session that we do with our patrons. It's a lot of fun, actually. I do recommend it. I have a good time with it. It seems like everybody else in there has a good time with it. Maybe you should try it. $2. What's it gonna happen? He's right here, by the way. It's Charmer. That's the worst that can happen. That's basically always the answer. If you do need to reach out to the show, you can send us an email at fleshandpod@gmail.com. Nobody really does that. I've received very few emails, but it is an option. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at fleshpod. Again, not a lot. Some people do. Some people don't. That's fine. The best thing you can do, though, is you join our Discord, which is free to join. You don't have to be a member of the Patreon or anything else. You just hop on in. And that's the best way to get a hold of us. We are very responsive in our Discord space. It is a cultivated community of fucking assholes. And that will wear episode me on a regular basis. Don't you fucking dare, Derek. Don't you fucking dare. I see you doing it. No, you stop that right now. Motherfucker. Where can they find your dumbass?
Usually in our Discord, doing things like posting where episode.
Mother piece of shit.
Or listening to folks talk about the amazing thing that is pickles.
Or P.O.D.
Yeah.
A lot of Hoobastank love in our Discord. I don't know what to think about that.
Hoobastank is better than P.O.D.
Well, okay.
I almost called him P.O.D.
And I would rather have cancer than AIDS because it's at least a little bit more treatable. Like, what's your fucking point? I don't want either of those things. So, one being better doesn't mean shit.
There's a lot of people that probably really like Hoobastank and they're unable or unwilling to share their love for them. And you want to know what the reason is, Logan?
Because I'm Hooba shaming them.
The reason is you.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I will accept that. That is 100% true. Because fuck Hoobastank, man. Yeah, if you need to get a hold of me at Logan Peterson on Twitter, just come into the Discord. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have one of those. Just all you gotta do is go in and click the thing.
Yeah, it's free.
It's free. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm not your dad. You do what you want to do. Yeah, that's all I got. Got anything else to add?
Yeah, ban Prism.
That's our show for this week, folks. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.